Okay, there we go. All right, here we are. All right, so it's Mother Mondays, and we're reading Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play, and just basically learning about the divine as the divine feminine, God as mother. And we're on page 205 in the section called Holy Mother Blesses Bellarmont. Yes, we're about to see Bellarmont for the first time. There's wow, there's some old pictures of Bellarmont here. Those are very old pictures. None of that space is still there. All right, on the 12th of November, 1898, the day before Kali Puja, Holy Mother, accompanied by several women devotees, again visited the site where the Ramakrishna order was shortly to have its headquarters. Swami Vivekananda had invited his Western disciples also. All the monks were present, and elaborate arrangements had been made for worship. The picture of the Master had been worshipped in the old monastery, was installed in the new site, and Holy Mother brought her own picture of the Master. She blessed the temple site with a special puja or worship. I can imagine the mood must have been very, very festive. They had been living in the Baranagore building, which was noted for being haunted and dilapidated and rodent infested. And so they had been living in that ramshackled building, which I went to see. All that's left standing now is the door frame of the Baranagore Mott. So they were kind of ended up there sort of just in a, you know, grabbing their bootstraps and sort of pulling together. They had no money. They didn't know what the future was going to be after the Master had passed away. We saw how even the Divine Mother had a period of rough in there where, you know, before people realized she wasn't being properly taken care of, and all of that had to be worked out, and getting her a place to live. And the monks also, you know, were just kind of in makeshift situations. And we take for granted these days, you know, that the Ramakrishna order is now so large and so able to take care of itself, and is providing so much relief from suffering for so many people. But in those days, there wasn't even such a thing. There wasn't a movement. There wasn't a Ramakrishna Math. There weren't any Vedanta societies anywhere at this point. And so to see it happen for the first time, I just imagine, you know, having that nice big piece of property right there on the Ganges, right across the river from Dakshineshwar Temple, so you could sit there and meditate and see the temple. All of those monks just must have been thrilled with anticipation of this place that would really ultimately become a blessing for so many of us, even at this great distance. You know, I've gotten to be at Bellarmont at least 3 or 4 times now, and it's always wonderful to be there. They've got that beautiful temple to Sri Ramakrishna and wonderful places to meditate, and the museum with all of those relics and collectibles from the early days telling the story. It's and just the number of swamis there, you know, there's like 800 monks there. And in the morning, that's when I was visiting, it was my favorite thing to do is, you know, for morning arati, they go very early to the shrine. We had to be there at 4. And, you know, it'd be like a foggy morning, and it'd be quiet when I would get up and go out there, and still dark, kind of a sepia though, because the city lights were lighting the fog. So it was sort of a sepia toned color over everything. And I would walk out of my out of the mott there, and start walking to the temple, and I would look up and I would see, you know, 1,000 monks in their garawa and their brahmachari whites with their chutters over their head, which was customary. All of them from all the different directions, walking very slowly and very silently toward the temple for the morning meditation with everybody. And it was always such a holy feeling just seeing all of these monks coming from every direction, and all of them silent, all of them quiet, all of them faceless with their chutters over their heads in the sepia fog, just moving toward the temple. And then when you go into the temple, just to see this large temple floor with just 1,000 monks sitting in meditation as you walked in. And there'd be no lights on. There would just be the lights on in the shrine with the beautiful statue of Sri Ramakrishna there, and the worshiper doing Mangalarti, lighting the big lamps for the morning bells. And really a wonderful place and a wonderful blessing. And if you haven't been there, really make a plan for taking a trip there. It's a very nice place. It's an oasis in the middle of Calcutta, I can tell you. But and from there you can go around and see all of these destinations that we're reading about in these scriptures. You can see the buildings are all there, and most of them have been purchased and kind of set up as pilgrimage sites, and they're happy to drive you around the city and show you all of these places, so you can see M's house and Balaram's house and all the places that Mother was, and Kasipur Garden House, where Thakur eventually took on a different form at his Mahasamadhi. So it's exciting. We're reading about the beginning of all of this, and it wasn't that long ago. Look how much has happened in 100 years. It's quite phenomenal. Ramakrishna was just, I get quite amazed by him, because like I always like to say, he didn't do anything. He stayed at his temple, and he occasionally went off to travel to see a circus or to see a museum or to go to a worship at some shrine somewhere. But he didn't do any lecturing. He didn't write any books or pamphlets. He didn't advertise. He was never on the radio, never spoke at the university, never did any interfaith work. he just basically did his life, every day, with just living with a heart completely dedicated to the divine. And just there was not a cell in his body that didn't belong to the Divine Mother. And to see that, if you're wondering in your life, I know when I had my midlife crisis back in my 40s, and I was at work and I was just walking through the cubicle farm that I worked in, and just looking around and thinking, oh my God, is this really all those dreams of my youth? And this is this is what's come of it. Oh my gosh. But look at Thakur. I mean, he did nothing spectacular as such. He just loved. He just had a beautiful heart and an absolute surrender to the divine will. That's all it takes in life. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Not what you accomplish in your life, but how you lived your life. Just being consistently devoted to your ideals, doing your very best to open your heart and to let the love that's in you flow out into the world. That was all that was necessary. And now his name is uttered around the world, even after such a seemingly ordinary, when you look at just kind of lives in general, just an ordinary life, with the exception of his character and his person. That afternoon, Holy Mother returned to Calcutta with her party, along with Vivekananda, Brahmananda, and Sharadananda. Swamiji, Vivekananda, had requested them all to take part in the ceremonial opening of Sister Nivedita's girls' school at 16 Bospara Lane in Bug Bazaar. Gosh, that's even amazing. Even before the Mat is built, they've got the girls' school going with Nivedita. That's incredible. Holy Mother and her companions attended the opening the next morning on the day of Kali Puja. Once, Swamiji was carried away by a Vedantic experience, which he related to Holy Mother. Mother, nowadays everything is disappearing from my mind. Holy Mother said to him with a smile, my son, please don't make me vanish. Mother, if I make you disappear, Swami replied, where shall I stand? The knowledge that banishes the guru is ignorance. How can knowledge exist without the guru? Swamiji realized that Ramakrishna and Holy Mother were one and the same. He also pointed this out to his brother disciples. That's a beautiful notion. It's one of my favorite things with relationships with Thakur Ma and Swamiji. The love that they had for each other, the respect that they constantly showed for each other was so deep and so honest and so real that it merged them into a singularity. So this time we have God manifesting as his incarnation in three, because God, it would take a universe to express God. And so quite naturally, God this time expressed in three. So you get a full incarnation of God as Vivekananda with his wonderful, dynamic, just powerful message of love and service and realization. And then you've got Holy Mother with her sweetness and compassion and her steady, tireless, surrendered heart. And then you've got Ramakrishna just with that renunciation, just unseen in the world before. Such a deep reverence and surrender at the feet of God, and seeing God through all of the different practices and all the different religions, and really having a heart of love that was able to see that was able to see that religions are not opposed to each other. They are not separate entities, but that they all work together in a beautiful flow to bring people of all different dispositions and different temperaments and different backgrounds and different cultures and different problems and different needs, that all the religions have been there to take care of those needs and to bring everybody to their higher self, to a higher view. Swami Vijnanananda, whom Swamiji called Peshan, had great love and respect for Holy Mother, but he seldom visited her in Calcutta. One day he went with Swamiji to Balaram's house in Calcutta while Holy Mother was there. Swamiji asked, Peshan, did you salute Holy Mother? No, Swamiji, I did not. What? Go right now and bow down to the mother, said Swamiji. I can hear that voice even now. Accordingly, Swami Vijnanananda went to Holy Mother and bowed down to her from a distance, bending his head to the floor. As soon as Vijnanananda got up, he heard Swamiji, who was standing behind him, say, What is this, Peshan? Does anybody salute the mother in this way? Bow down to her by prostrating yourself on the floor. Holy Mother is the mother of the universe. All right, there you have the official teaching direct out of the mouths of Swami Vivekananda. This is, she's not a consolation prize. She is the mother of the universe, for crying out loud. When you worship her, when you bow down to her, you go down on your face on the floor. You don't do anything half-hearted for the mother. She has given you everything. Her entire heart is yours. Swamiji then prostrated himself to Holy Mother, and Vijnanananda did likewise. Later, Vijnanananda remarked, I did not imagine that Swamiji would follow me to the mother and stand behind him. That was like Swami Prabhupada. He also had that magic, as a brahmachari. Probably every Swami has that magic around brahmacharis. You never knew when he was going to show up. But I didn't get caught not prostrating to Holy Mother, but I remember one time at the cabins in Tahoe, during the lecture, me and Greg and one of the devotee guys, we took off and hiked down the hill to the 7-Eleven and got these slushies, or whatever they were called. And we walked back up to the cabin, and we were standing around the trash can on the back side of the deck, waiting for Swami's lecture to finish, waiting for his class to finish. And we're standing there, and I've got mine in my hand. I've got my back to the deck and to the rest of the building. And Greg and I think it was Jitesh was the other one that was standing there. And so I'm slurping out of my Slurpee, and the both of them have already finished theirs. And I'm making a joke about, I've got to finish quickly here before Swami finishes his lecture and comes out and finds me with the slushy in my hand. So I'm sitting there joking, and suddenly they both get this look on their face, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what. And sure enough, I have no idea. It was truly magical because that deck was so creaky. That deck was so loud if you walked on it. But somehow Swami Prabhudananda had crossed that entire deck without making the slightest noise and was standing right over my shoulder listening to me, making sure that I wasn't going to get caught drinking my slushy. And so I turned around. Oh my gosh, I dropped my slushy immediately right into the trash. It was like, and of course, Swami never had to say anything. He just looked at me and had that look in his eyes that, like, and turned around and went back. So I can see the Swamiji, following Premananda to see to watch his or Vigyanananda to watch his pranam, to watch his bowing to the mother, and finding he didn't do it, didn't go all the way down. Ramakrishna had told Holy Mother that his disciples would look after her, and Holy Mother cared for them as her own children, as she is to this day, still caring for each one of you and me as her very own children. This is where we get our strength and our inspiration from. This is the reason that we fight our passions and control our minds and discipline our bodies and work on our surrender and finding that inner silence, because that love has been given to us first, because this compassion has been shown to us first. It's by growing in an understanding of that grace that we grow in our intensity and grow in our commitment and grow in our strength. Rama and Holy Mother cared for them as her own children. Swamiji arranged for Holy Mother to be given 25 rupees a month for her expenses. On the 20th of June, 1899, Swamiji left for his second visit to the West. Holy Mother arranged a feast for him that day. After having lunch at Holy Mother's place, Swamiji, Turiyananda, and Nivedita left for the Calcutta harbor, and the other disciples went to see them off. When Swami Vivekananda returned a year and a half later, he visited Holy Mother. Shurabala, Holy Mother's sister-in-law, was amazed when she saw a handsome, prince-like man fall at the mother's feet. Indeed, Vivekananda had that amazing charisma, a real powerhouse of an individual. You can see in all the accounts of the lectures that he gave here in the United States, especially for the women. The women were always just completely agog over Swamiji. There's a description after the lecture was over at the Institute of Art, the Art Institute in Chicago, after his lecture at the Parliament, that women were literally scrambling over the backs of the seats in the auditorium to get up, to get to see him, to get to talk to him. Can you imagine a monk from India, a wandering sadhu, and all these women, hundreds of these women just cascading over the seats, coming down to meet him? It must have been a really quite disarming situation. Sometime later, Swamiji was not well, and so Holy Mother went to see him at Belur Math with Golap Ma and other women devotees. When Holy Mother arrived, her boat was anchored at high tide, but when it was time for her to leave, low tide had mired the boat in the mud. Swami Vivekananda and the monks had come to the ghat to see Holy Mother off. When he saw that the boatmen were unable to push the boat into the water, Swamiji rushed to them and began to push. The monks joined him. Holy Mother was moved by her heroic children's love for her. Really, what a demonstration this was. This would never have happened without Ramakrishna, without his teaching to the monks and their service. Monks would never have done this before him. That they just jumped down into the mud, hiked their dhotis up and put their shoulders to the boat to get it out there. In 1901, Swamiji wanted to perform the Durga Puja at Belur and asked Holy Mother for her permission. She agreed. Yes, my son, please worship Mother Durga at Belur That's the worship of the Divine Mother, God as Mother. Nothing can be accomplished in this world without worshiping Shakti. Shakti is the power of God. Shakti is the divine feminine. Uh, it's God and his power. You know, the male aspect of God, Shiva, is the absolute unchanging, and then the female aspect, the Shakti, is the vibrating energy, the Word, as it were. You know, in Christianity, the Word would be the mother, would be the Divine Mother, and the Father would be God, the absolute unchanging, the principle. And so those two are always together, and they exist within us. You know, this is the thing that we understand. It's that we are living in Shakti, you know, but to have our realization, we have to establish ourselves in the absolute, the unchanging aspect, the silent, uh, uh, the silent surrender within. And so we stand from there and we watch the mind. You know, the mind of change, the world of change is the manifestation. Mother is the manifestation of the divine principle of the absolute unchanging. And we contain both parts of those within ourselves. We've got still and silent mind, which is the absolute unchanging, where we find Satchitananda, where God realization is. And then we've got the mind, the active mind, where we draw our identity from in our delusion and act out, not knowing ourself to be the absolute unchanging, the eternal and immortal self. Yes, my son, please worship Mother Durga at Belur Nothing can be accomplished in this world without worshiping Shakti. But my son, do not sacrifice an animal. Normally they would have done that. They would have killed a goat as an offering. So she's forbidding it. You are monks. You have taken the vow of offering fearlessness to all beings. Swamiji had intended to perform the entire ritual, including the sacrifice, but he changed his plans as Holy Mother had wished. So it's very good. That's, you know, you can see her bringing it into a higher integrity. How can you be monks representing fearlessness and then cause such fear in the sacrificial animal? Holy Mother later described this event, which took place in 1901. Naren took me to Belur at the time of the first Durga Puja festival, and through me gave 25 rupees to the priest as dakshina, a donation. They spent 1,400 rupees on that auspicious occasion. The place was crowded with people. The monks worked hard. Naren came to me and said, Mother, please make me lie down with fever. No sooner had he said this than he was struck down with a severe attack of fever. I thought, goodness gracious, what is this? How will he be cured? Do not be anxious, Mother, said Naren. I have myself begged for this fever. My reason is this. These boys are working hard, but if I see the slightest mistake, I shall fly into a rage and scold them. I may even slap them. It will be painful for them as well as to me. Therefore, I thought it would be better to lie down with fever for some time. When the day's function was over, I came to him and said, My son, the work is over. Please get up. Naren said that he was all right and got up from his bed. So, wow, what even to do with that? You know, this festival going on, and Vivekananda is just where everybody's working so hard and it's going so beautifully. And Vivekananda runs up and says, Mother, give me a fever. And she obliges, gives him a fever, makes him sick. So he has to go to bed for the day, and he does it only to protect the other disciples from him so he doesn't slap them. What an incredible man of energy. What a fireball. Just phenomenal. You know, that kind of love, that's the kind of love that's locked up inside of us. You know, that's what we're trying to dig free. We're trying to dig through all of our our mountain of ignorance so that we can get this gem released inside, so that we can have this kind of passion, this kind of love for God, that just willing and ready and excited about doing any little thing or big thing, in service, in love. It's just really something. Naren brought his own mother to the Mat at the time of Durga Puja. She roamed from one garden to another and picked chilies, eggplants, etc. She felt a little proud, thinking that it was all due to her son Naren. Naren came to her and said, "What are you doing here? Why do you not go to meet Holy Mother? You are simply picking vegetables. Maybe you are thinking that your son has done all this work. No, mother, you are mistaken. It is the master who has done all of this. Naren has done nothing." Naren meant that the Mat was founded through the grace of the divine master. What a great devotion. You see, in this, here he is, just even now, teaching us how to deal with our successes, to understand that it is Mother, it's the divine energy that makes circumstances that make it possible for us to serve. That has given us the inner inspiration to even care and to want to do, to want to grow, to want to realize. And so any of our accomplishment is based on so many of these variables that only God can be in charge of, things that we can't possibly do on our own. And so that's why we stay aware in our meditations. That's why we practice being the witness, so that we don't mistakenly ignore these things like we do in our delusion, where we ignore all of these variables and begin to think that we're the ones that are doing and we're the ones that are responsible. And from that, we turn a beautiful offering into ego food, so that it gets wasted. It's one of the things Swami told me early on. He says, I asked him, I said, why don't why don't monks or holy people share their experiences? I said, I'd love to hear them, and it's very encouraging to me. And I don't understand why everybody keeps it a secret. And it was quite beautiful what he said to me. He said, "See, when Mother gives you an experience or gives you a vision or gives you a dream, he says that adds a wonderful spiritual energy to you within. That ojas, it's it's a blessing of spiritual energy." And he says, if you hold it inside, it will help you purify the heart, and it will help you to lift your consciousness up into the heart. He says, if you are sharing it, if you're going and telling others, you run the danger of taking this beautiful spiritual gift and having it crystallize into ego. It becomes ego food, and then you become proud of having visions, proud of having an experience. And he said, you've taken something that was beautiful, something that could have helped you along on your spiritual path in a significant way, and you've wasted it by letting it become transformed into egoism. And so he says, better to hold these things inside. You can share them with like-minded people or with those who are more advanced than you. You can talk safely to such people about your experiences, but don't go sharing them one and all, And so it's a beautiful thing. So your experiences, let them come out in love. Let them come out in your equanimity of character. Let them come out in your self-discipline, and let everybody guess at what the cause is. But you know that it's the presence of Mother within you, and hold that secret space for the beloved, for the divine. It is natural for parents to be proud when their children are successful and talented. Conversely, parents become sad if their children are unlucky or unsuccessful or dull-witted. If anyone mentioned Swamiji to Holy Mother, she would say, "Why do you drag Naren into everything? He is a class by himself." Holy Mother never tired of describing the greatness and struggle of the Master's disciples and their dependence on him. The disciples of the Master accepted him only after thorough examination. What an austere life they led at the Bharanagore monastery after his passing away. Niranjan and others often starved themselves. They spent, of course, they did that because they didn't have any money as well in the early days. They were just boys. Nobody was taking them seriously. Even some of the householders had said after Thakur passed away that all those boys should go out and get jobs, get to work on their lives. Niranjan and the others often starved themselves. They spent all their time in meditation and prayer. One day, these young monks were talking amongst themselves. We have renounced everything in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. Let us see if he will supply us with food if we simply depend on him. Isn't that the temptation? The thing, let's see if God actually is going to do what he says. We will not tell anybody about our wants. We will not go out for alms. We won't go out for begging either. They covered their bodies with sheets of cloth and sat down for meditation. The whole day passed. It was late at night. They heard somebody knocking at the door. Naran left his seat and told one of his brother monks, "Please open the door and see who is there. First of all, see if he has anything in his hand." What a miracle! When the door was opened, they saw a man standing there with delicious food from Lala Babu's temple of Gopala on the banks of the Ganges. The disciples were exceedingly happy and felt convinced of the protecting hand of the Master. They offered that food to the Master at that late hour of the night and partook of the prasad. Such things happened many times. Another day, Beni Paul of Sinthi sent luchis and other food to the monks. Now the monks do not experience any such difficulty. Alas, what hardships Naran and Babaram passed through. Even my Rakal, who is now the president of the mission, had to clean the pots and the kettles for many days. Just what a wonderful endorsement. What a wonderful encouragement that it is. And life is like this. Take a chance on things. Take a chance. Put your life in the hands of Holy Mother. Sometimes like this. You have to be prepared to go without dinner. You have to be prepared to offer that. But you also have to be prepared for a dinner in that. Mother, it's a difficult thing to do. I remember reading in the Old Testament quite a few times that people tested the presence of God, and in the stories, God always comes through. And so that story is there, but it takes a great deal of faith. You have to know that Thakur is going to come, that Thakur is going to take care. And you have to really discipline yourself not to make it happen, not to come up with any of your own effort. Really surrender it, and that's the key: is surrender. Because if that meal doesn't come, there's teaching and learning in that as well. That's part of it as well. And when it does come, there's teaching and learning in that as well. So God may not play the puppet. He may not do exactly as you want, but if you watch close enough, you'll see an answer, you'll see a presence, and you'll understand at the time.
But Maharaj, isn't that true of life itself?
It is, in fact, life itself.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. The difference is in life ourself. We think that our efforts are doing all of this for ourselves. I got that lesson from Holy Mother for myself when I first got here, and it had been 2 or 3 months, and things were going on. Everything was being provided for, but I felt insecure in that because it wasn't because of a job. It wasn't because of my working. It was just Mother taking care of me. And that's when I, had that prayer about that silly banner that hangs up in front of the post office, now hiring. It's been there. It's still there. It's been there since the day I arrived, and it's still there. And I just looked at that sign one day and asked Mother, I was like, did you put that there for me? Is this a hint that I should go in and apply for this job? and I had a couple of prayers and meditations over it, just trying to suss out what I was supposed to be doing. But at some point in there, I got like a little bit of an internal scolding because I was sitting there telling mother how nerve-wracking it was having to live on alms without knowing if they were going to come or not, and without knowing every month if the money for rent was going to be there. And I says, if I just got a little job, it'd just make things a lot easier. Then I wouldn't have to wonder. I would know the paycheck was coming. And then with just such a vigor, these words came up in my mind, just a real scolding. So it was like mother, I blamed mother for it. She said, so if I give you money through a job, that's reliable. But if I just take care directly, that somehow is insecure. And as soon as those words came in my mind, it was like, oh my God. Oh, no, Ma. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But you see, that's our problem. That's the way we live, right? And householders are taken care of just as much by God as the monks are taken care of. It's like it's because of the divine that you have the opportunities you have. It's because of the divine that you have the work that you have, and that you stay healthy to do it, and that all of the variables stay in place to your favor for your life to develop. So don't let us ever think that we are the ones responsible. Otherwise, we have to take on all that karma. If you can know that you are the witness and that it is Mother alone that does all things, then you escape the karma of those things, and you find a beautiful inner peace, a wonderful stability and understanding that the entire universe is your very own. At one time, Naren was traveling as an itinerant monk toward Gaya and Varanasi. He did not get any food for 2 days and was lying down under a tree when a man arrived with luchis, curry, sweets, and a jar of water in his hands. The man said, "Here is the prasad of Rama. Please accept it." Naren said, "You did not know me, my good friends. You've made a mistake. Perhaps you thought these articles were for someone else." The man said with utmost humility, "No, Maharaj, I have brought this food solely for you. I was enjoying a little nap at noontime when I saw a man in a dream. He said, 'Get up quickly. A holy man is lying under yonder tree. Give him some food.'" This could have been right down around you, Kooky. Don't you have a lot of yonder trees down there in Louisiana? I guess you got them in Texas too, Priya. Yonder trees. Give him some food. I dismissed the whole thing as a mere dream. Therefore, I turned on my side and again fell asleep. Again, I dreamed of the man who said, giving me a push, "I'm asking you to get up, and still you're sleeping. Carry out my order without any more delay." Then I knew that it was not an illusory dream. It was the command of Rama. Therefore, in obedience to his command, I brought these articles for you. Naren realized that it was Naren realized that it was all due to the grace of the master, and he cheerfully accepted the food. My God. Wow. What a beauty. What a beautiful thing. A similar incident happened another day. Naren was traveling in the Himalayas for 3 days without any food. He was about to faint when a Muslim fakir gave him a cucumber. I've been to this place in Almora. I saw the stone, the rock in the field where he passed out, and that family that this man belonged to, that this Muslim fakir belonged to, still lives in the same hut, the same house up there in Almora. And the monks go and pay tribute to that family every time they go and see the rock where Swamiji passed out, because the man brought food to him. He was about to faint when a Muslim fakir gave him a cucumber. It saved his life. After his return from America, Naren was one day addressing a meeting at Almora. He saw that the same Muslim fakir seated in a corner. Naren at once went to him, took him by the hand, and made him sit at the center of the gathering. The audience narrated the whole incident. The audience was surprised. Naren said, "This gentleman saved my life once." He then narrated the whole incident. He gave the fakir some money. At first, the fakir refused to accept the gift, saying, "What have I done that you are so anxious to make me a gift?" Naren did not yield and pressed some money into his pocket. Krishna gave divine sight to Arjuna so that he could see his cosmic form. It is not possible to recognize the divinity of an avatar with normal human understanding. By Holy Mother's grace, Swamiji realized her true nature. Once he remarked at Bellarmont, "Mother is the incarnation of Bhagala, the guise of Saraswati. Outwardly, she is all peace, but inwardly, she is the destroyer of evil." This is that beautiful thing. Mother calls us, and she calls us with that sweet divine face of motherhood. But when she gets into our life, she is the killer of demons. Mother Kali. All those heads that Mother Kali has around her neck, they're all the demons that have tortured you in your life. All the demons that have caused your suffering and you caused your delusion. So Mother is a warrior. Mother is power. And she comes into our life not to tiptoe around as a sweet little, ignorable woman. She is the divine power, and she will slay your weaknesses, and she will string their skulls around her neck in victory as she gives you the boon of your realization. So Mother is your refuge. She is your warrior, the destroyer of evil. Once Vivekananda and Turiyananda went to visit Holy Mother in Calcutta. In the boat from Bellarmont, Turiyananda noticed that Vivekananda was drinking the muddy Ganges water. He warned him, "Swamiji, you're going to become sick." Swamiji replied, "No, brother. I am afraid that when I visit Holy Mother, our minds are not pure enough. So I am purifying my mind by drinking Ganges water." Swamiji was afraid that Holy Mother would absorb the impurities and suffer. See, what a twist. It's not that he was afraid to go in front of Mother because he was impure. It's because he knew that when he went in front of Mother, Mother would absorb any impurities that he had, and she would take on the suffering for that. And he didn't want that to happen. So there he is drinking Ganges water to purify himself so that Mother won't take away his impurities and bring them on herself. You see, this is why that teaching is there. That grace comes first, and then our transformation happens, growing out of that grace, nourished by that grace. It's not that we do our best, the best that we can, and then grace comes later. That's not as it is. We leave the task at Mother's feet. We surrender ourselves in faith. We go into a silent mind and we sit in the presence of God. And in that, Satchitananda makes its way through our layers of ignorance and delusion and slowly begins to sprout its reality within us, and we become saints. We become lovers of God, lovers of people. We become servants. We become egoless and are able to accomplish things that no normal person can accomplish. And it's all because of a grace, all because of a love that we've never encountered anywhere before, the likes of which is from God.
Maharaj?
Yes.
Swamiji was purity personified.
Yes.
He still felt like taking Ganges water.
Oh, yes. No, definitely. The purer you are, the more advanced you are, the more you know your faults, the more you see the impurities, the more you see the faults within yourself. And to you, they're pain, they're terrible. To someone else, they might be like, "Oh, that's nothing." But when you yourself become pure, the slightest errors inside seem gross, seem big. And just because, just the fact that Naren had a body means that there was some impurity in there. All of us to manifest have to have some level of impurity within. But yes, yeah, absolutely. No, God alone is pure in that sense, but God alone is the absolute unchanging. All of us have taken on a desire that caused us to manifest, and now we have to live out that karma. When Swami Vivekananda passed away on the 4th of July, 1902, Holy Mother was in Jairambati. When she got this heartbreaking news, she remained silent for 3 days. Weeping bitterly. She plaintively lamented, "Master, did you ask me to stay to see the death of my children?" Later, she would recall, the Master would say, "Naren is the crown of my head. He has 2 bad omens in his body. First, his breathing is long and rapid, and second, he eats little more than a usual person. These signs indicate a short life." In 1909 at Kualpara, Keshavananda said to the mother, "If Swamiji were alive today, how much he could have done for this country." The mother quickly answered, "Oh dear, if my Naren were here today, would the company, the British government, leave him in peace? They would have locked him up in jail. I could not see it and live. Naren was an unsheathed sword." One day, toward the end, Swamiji bowed down to Holy Mother and said, "Mother, I know for certain that with your blessing in the future, many Narans will be born and hundreds of Vivekanandas will evolve. And I also know for certain that in this world, there is only one mother like you. There is no other." Oof, God, the intensity of the love that they all had for each other is just, to me, just stunning, just amazing. My goodness, just such a heart, such a sweetness. But this is our commission. Mother Vivekananda said, "With your blessings, Mother, hundreds of Vivekanandas will come up. Hundreds of Narans will evolve." And this is exactly what's happening at this very minute for us. Each one of us here, we've been given these teachings. We've been given access to the lives of these people. Look how many people are in the world, and how many people get to read these things and know these things and be intimate with these truths and these ideals. And of that small number that have heard them, how many of them will sit down and do their practice? How many of them will renounce? How many of them will take advantage of this incredible love, this incredible blessing that we have? And here we are, our commission: become a Naran, become a Vivekananda, a lover of Mother, a servant of the divine, a brother of the disciple, and so deeply devoted to Sri Ramakrishna, to the ideal in everyone and everything. We don't become a Naran to be a Naran. We become a universal lover. We become someone who can be depended on to care, whose compassion is meaningful and deep and present. This is what we become, not for the sake of just something. It's for the sake of the world that we are learning these things, that we've been given this grace, that we've been given the opportunity to hear truths that are so sweet in this life, that are so sweet in this life. You know, any amount of suffering is alleviated by knowing these things. You know, depression can be cured. Not easily, not with just a single prayer, perhaps, but in time, with dedication to these truths. Mother can take these twists of a mind and lay them straight, you know, fix them out. It's your gift. So, yes, Regina, Mother can take care of these things. All right. We're going to stop at chapter 14.